In this video, we're going to customize your board's columns so they fit how your team really works. We already have our M&A deal board with its default columns: backlog, to-do, in progress, and done. Each column represents a stage that a task moves through. This is a good starting point, but every team works differently, and you'll likely want your board to reflect your own workflow. For our example, in a team that manages deals, there's a very common moment when you're left waiting on something from the client. So we're going to add a new column called Waiting on Client, so you can clearly see when a task is blocked, waiting for the client, and it doesn't get overlooked. The first thing worth knowing is where to look. The columns are not managed directly on the board. If you're searching for a button to add them directly on the column itself, you won't find one. Everything is handled from the board settings. In the top bar, click on the Settings button, represented by the gear icon. Be careful not to click on Manage, as that serves a different purpose. When you open Board Settings, the first thing you'll see on the screen is the General tab. This is the General tab, containing the basic information of the board. Here, you can edit the name, the description, and the visibility. Notice that the ticket prefix, board type, and methodology are locked, because these are defined when the board is created and cannot be changed afterward. You'll also see other tabs, such as Tracking and Estimation, Flow Metrics, AI and Automation, Approvals, and Schedule. Each one configures a different aspect of the board, from metrics to approval. They're not the focus today, so we'll leave them for when you need them. Let's jump straight into what matters: columns. This is where we manage the columns. You can add, rename, and reorder them. You can also assign colors and delete any columns you don't use. To add a new column, click the Add Column button in the top right corner. A new column will appear at the end of the list with the default name New Column. Using the pencil icon, we'll rename the column to Waiting on Client. Then, with the color box on the left, we'll assign it a color that stands out. This is important because a task that's waiting on the client needs to be easy to spot at a glance. Each column includes two checkboxes: Backlog column and Done column, which indicate where the workflow starts and where it ends. Since ours is an intermediate step, we'll leave them unchecked. Take a look at the column near the end, right after Done. It doesn't make sense there. A task waits on the client before being completed, not after. To move it, we use the order arrow, shifting it up until it sits right before Done. With this, the flow becomes logical. Backlog, to-do, in progress, waiting on client, and finally done. Each column also has a WIPE field. The limit refers to the work in progress cap, which sets a maximum number of cards you can have in that column at any given time. This prevents your team from becoming overloaded by taking on too many tasks simultaneously. Once a column reaches its limit, you cannot add more cards until you close an existing one. This is a concept unique to Kanban, and you can apply it to any column where you want to enforce that discipline. For example, in the In Progress column, we set the limit to 5, and you can see it displayed on the side as WIP 5. And just as you can add columns, you can also remove them. Using the trash icon on each column, let's say your team doesn't use a backlog and prefers to start directly from the To-Do column. There are two rules the screen itself enforces. You cannot delete a column that has tickets inside it. If there are tickets inside, first move those cards to another column, and there must always be a minimum of 2 columns remaining. Since the backlog column is empty, we can remove it without any issues. And now, To-Do is our first column. We mark it as the backlog column using that checkbox we saw when adding the new stage. This way, Qamaq knows that's where new tasks enter and get planned. Once the board reflects your workflow, save your changes using the Save Settings button. And we're back on the board. Here you can see our columns, fully tailored to the team: To-Do, in progress, waiting on client, and done. The new column is ready to receive any tasks that are pending on the client. And that's the core idea. A board isn't rigid. Its columns adapt to how you work, not the other way around. As your process evolves, You can return to these settings and adjust the columns as many times as needed.